Hello everybody, this is Kay, and thank you for joining me here today on my channel, Gigi's Paper Treasures. A couple of weeks ago, I did an unboxing video from this company, IB, that was gracious enough to send me a couple of things in the mail to try out from their company. And so I will put the link to that unboxing video below if you'd like to have like a real in-depth look at all of the washi tapes that they sent me. But in this video, I'm going to take the items they sent to me and make something out of them. So just real quick, I'll show you what they sent me. But if you want to, like I said, if you want to look a more thorough look, you can click on the link to that unboxing video below. But they sent me a little washi tape inspiration book. They sent me a little blank kind of planner type journal. And then they sent me this box of 37 washi tapes. And I'll open this up real quick just to let you have a glance at all the washi tapes. And they also included a couple of like display cards. This basically, they're both the same thing. They basically show you the washi tapes that are in this set. There's 37 of them. And then I also saved all the plastic. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm going to do, if anything, with the plastic that all the washi tapes were wrapped in. And then I also saved this little bee logo. It says IB on it. I just thought it was so precious with the gold wings. So I cut that out of the packaging and saved that as well. So what I'm going to do today is, since this journal they sent me is a type of a planner type style journal, that's exactly what I'm going to turn this into. Is I'm just going to alter it and decorate it using the washi tapes and other items and turn it into a planner. Now, I counted these pages that are lined and have the date and all that at the top, and there's 60 of them. So if I'm going to divide this up into 12 months, which is what I want to do, that's my vision for this, that means 5 of these pages per month. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm just going to open this up and kind of set it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge the first page and every 5 pages after that with washi tape, and what that will do is kind of separate all of this notebook into 12 sections, one for every month of the year. So I need 12 washi tapes, and I'm going to choose some of the thinner ones to edge these pages with, because I don't want to, cover up any of the lines on either side of each page. I'm going to take the washi tape along the edge of this first page, and I'm also going to put it on the back so that it's a nice kind of thickens up that edge a little bit, and it'll make it obvious that that's where the next section starts. Okay, so I picked out 6 different of the washis from the sets today. These are all kind of either botanical images or butterflies, dragonflies, that sort of thing. And I'm going to use each one of these twice in edging the pages for this planner. So I'm going to put, and I already kind of arranged them how I want to use them. So I'm just going to set those up here kind of in order how I've decided to use them. Starting with this one right here, which is kind of a rose and teal colored lovely washi tape. Another thing I'm going to do here, and I grabbed this, is put a piece of parchment paper behind the page as I do it, because what I don't want to do is accidentally stick this to the next page and cause any tearing of the pages or anything like that. So I'm going to find the edge of this and just peel out a long enough section to cover the edge, And I'm just going to line the edge of this up as closely as I can with the edge of the paper. Pull a little bit more out. So I kind of have to lean over here. And I'm just going to put it right on the edge like that. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and tear it, because that's easier than grabbing my scissors every time. I'm also going to just burnish each one down with my bone folder real good in hopes that, you know, it will stick good. What I have found with a lot of washi tapes is they're meant to be somewhat temporary. So sometimes I have to add glue. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I can go back and do that later if I notice any peeling up of the washi. And flip this over. And I'm going to put the same thing along this edge too. So once again, I'm going to take this, and I think, let me make sure I'm going the right direction here. Okay, I have to turn this around and do it this way this time, because I want, so it is kind of directional, this washi tape. It would probably be fine if I did it upside down, but I want it to kind of match the other side, so I'm going to do my best not to switch the directions. Okay, same thing, just line it up and lay it down, tear that off. Put that off to the side. I am going to use it again, but not until we get to like the 7th section. So what I'm going to do now is just take my little scissors and trim off what's sticking up on the top and the bottom here. Okay. So there is our first section division. I'm going to count that as my first page. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what I'm going to do now is get one of my clips and just kind of hold that down, because I'm going to work on this page next. Put my parchment paper in there and grab my next washi tape. This one has dark pink and yellow butterflies with kind of a floral and scripty background. Super pretty. And find the edge of it and do the same thing right along this page, front and back. So now that you can see how I'm doing the page edges, I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these pages off camera, because it's going to take a hot minute to get all 12 of these sections lined, edged with this washi tape. But I'm going to do more to this journal than just edging these pages, so I'll come back once I get done with the page edging and continue on with some other ideas I have for this planner. All right, so I've got all the edges done. See, you can kind of see the edges of the book pages themselves are kind of colored, various colored, like tie-dyed almost. But you can see, if I turn the pages like this, where the separations are. And I'll just flip through here real quick and show you all the edges. There's 5 pages to each section. And there's 12 sections, one for every month. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. A couple of things I realized while I was doing that off camera was that I want to share with you is how forgiving washi tape is. I mean, let me show you, for example, you know, if you're trying to put something along the edge and you go off, you know, you get it crooked or whatever, you know, it just peels right up and you can replace it. And another thing I realized, which I've known this, but it never really hit me till today while I was doing the edges, is if you get a little wrinkle, let me just tear off a piece of this and find a scrap of paper to show you what I'm talking about. It's just a scrap of packaging paper. But if you're putting something down and you get a little tiny little wrinkle in your washi tape, I don't know if you can see that right there, that little wrinkle. All you have to do is use your fingernail or your bone folder or something, and it just irons right out. Here are the 6 that I used for the edges. I'm going to kind of push those off to the side because I want to try and use, you know, as many different washi tapes from this set as I can in this project. So the next thing I'm going to do is the cover. Went through some of my books looking for an image, and I finally found one that I think is just absolutely perfect as the focal piece for this planner. And I found this in a book that I bought from eBay a while back. It's called A Victorian Garden Album, and it's perfect because the pink on this lady's dress just goes perfectly with the pink of the cover. And what they are looking at is a beehive, which, you know, as we know, IB, that's kind of their logo. And I just thought it was just the sweetest little Victorian image. This lady is holding a cat in her arms, and they're just watching the beehive and the bees working away. Down here it says, "A quiet summer space of garden flowers and toiling bees." T. Buchanan Reed. So I found that and I thought that's perfect. So that's what I want to use for my focal image on the cover. And I'm going to mat it onto a piece of this cardstock. This is kind of some marbly cardstock. And I'm going to leave a nice wide margin around it because I want to edge it also with some washi tape on the cover. So let me grab my trimmer and get this cut down. So this, I want at least an inch on either side. So it is almost 3 inches wide. So I'm going to cut this down to 5 for my width. And then the height is 4.5, just barely over 4.5. So I'm going to do 6.5 this way. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. I'm going to mat this on here like this, and then I'm going to do some washi tapes just kind of all around this to kind of frame it out a little bit. And that's what I have in my mind. I'm not exactly sure how that's all going to work out. But first I'm going to put this on here. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac so that it doesn't warp my image. I don't know if you're familiar with glues very much, but any kind of a white glue or water-based glue is going to warp your papers. And this book page actually is a little bit thin, so I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. It is an acetone-based glue, and it will not warp my image. So I'm just going to get that all over the back there. And obviously, I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm going to use my Vintage Photo Distress ink just to go around the edge of this cardstock. I don't know how much of it's going to end up showing after I use my washi tape, but I think that it will show here and there. So I want to have that inked up. Alright, I picked out a few more washi tapes from this set, and these two actually have the gold outlining. I don't know what you call that. It's not really embossing. I can't feel it on them, and that is just, I love those types of washi tapes too that have that. And then these two are thinner ones that I'm going to use on the cover. But first, I just need to glue this to the cover, and I'm gonna place it a little bit close to the top, because after I get my washi tape on, I'm probably gonna cut around this and add this to the front of the cover too, down here near the bottom. So I'm gonna glue this down, and then we'll proceed with decorating with some washi tape. I got my art glitter glue out because I'm thinking that as I put down my washi, it might not want to stick too well to the cover. My plan is to kind of overlap this matting with some of the washies, and it's kind of a vinyl faux leather type finish, so I'm not sure the washi will stick very good. So I'm going to get my art glitter glue out and use it along with the washi a little bit, just because I want to make sure this is going to stick down. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with this one. And I'm just going to kind of randomly do some framing out, and I'll probably speed this up a little bit because I'm not real, I don't have a set in stone plan here. I want my matting to show through, but I also want the washi to be plenty visible. So I'm going to put that down and tear it off, and then just grab my art glitter glue and use it just as extra reinforcement to keep the washi tape. I think I want to put it on the edge of the washi here. I'm not going to worry if it hangs over the edge a little bit at first. I can go back later and trim those off. But I really think that the art glitter glue is kind of necessary here, especially on the parts where it goes off onto the actual cover of the book. Okay, so there's my first piece. Now I think I'll take this kind of pink rosy floral piece and put it on next, maybe going up and down on this side. So I'm going to stop talking and just speed this up a little bit while I finish decorating this cover. right, so that is done. I ended up using 5 washies. I think I had 4 picked out, but I added 1 more to the mix for this cover, and I didn't do, too terrible much. It's kind of busy looking, but I think I stopped before it got maybe overboard busy looking. I hope I did. Anyway, I like it. I think it's very, very pretty. So what I'm going to do, one last thing I'm going to do for this cover is I'm going to kind of fussy cut out this logo, and I am very slow at fussy cutting, so I was just going to do this and talk a little bit while I cut this out. I don't know if I mentioned before, but IB has offered me a 30% discount code, so I will link their website below in the description box, and I will also put my code for a 30% discount should you decide to go and click on that link and use my discount code to get that discount. Please don't feel pressured to. It's just they offered that to me, so I didn't want to say no. Obviously, they sent me some free products, which was so very kind of them. So I accepted that discount code, and we'll put that down below for the rest of you to consider if you want to order, consider using if you want to order from this company. So far, I've been pretty happy with the items. They seem really good quality. They have a ton of washi tape. I think that the washi tape is their main product, but they did have other things, like they had the blank journals, they had stickers and papers, and so even if you don't end up purchasing something, you might want to just go check out what all they have. So I'm going to cut a little bit more out here between the antennas. Try and not do too much. I don't want them to fall off or anything. I think that's going to look real sweet there, but I want to add a little bit of texture. I think it needs a little something extra, so I went and I have this little piece of cheesecloth, and I think I will cut out a little piece to use down here just to add a little bit of texture to this cover. I'm going to try and just kind of fray it up, tatter it up a little bit more by peeling off some of these end threads. And I also went and grabbed some black thread off of my sewing machine behind me, and I'm just going to kind of put that in the background too, behind our cute little bumblebee. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac first, and I'm just going to kind of spread it around down here and a little bit just to kind of hold that cheesecloth and thread in place. I'm going to grab a little piece of parchment paper. This is kind of a method I use for pressing things down, because if I press down on that with my fingers, I believe it'll just stick to my fingers, but with parchment paper, it doesn't. So that's kind of held in place there. I'm going to go ahead and grab my vintage photo and just ink up around the edge of this little logo a little bit. And I'll use my Fabri-Tac for this too. You can see where I kind of had to peel this off of some brown packaging paper, but it was just so adorable. I knew I was going to want to use it in this project. I had to add a little bit more glue to my cheesecloth and my threads there. They were going a little rogue on me, but that's under control, and I really like that cover. I was thinking it'd be a good idea to have some pockets on the inside of the front cover and maybe on this adjacent side as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and that would be a good thing to be able to decorate some pockets with some of these wider washi tapes that are in this set. So I'm going to do that. First of all, I'm going to measure how wide these pages are. 5.5, so I'm thinking like a 5-inch wide larger pocket maybe for the inside of the cover, and then a couple shallower pockets, kind of a double pocket situation maybe for this page. So I'm going to clear off my work area here for a minute, put that aside, and put that off to the side a little bit, and I'm going to grab my trimmer out here. And what I have is, I have like a kind of a craft brown colored file folder here. I think I will make my pockets out of this. It's a really heavy duty, not quite a chipboard, but heavier than like regular cardstock as well. So first of all, I'm going to trim off this edge where all the notches and stuff are. And then, so I want to make a 5-inch wide pocket, but I want the large one, the one that I'm going to put on the inside of the front cover at least, to be gusseted so that there's lots of room in the pocket. So I want it to be 5 inches wide, but I want another 1/2 inch on either side for the gussets. So I'm going to cut this down to 6. Like this. Okay. And then I also want to put a gusset on the bottom. So I'm thinking if I do a 1/2 inch here, there's my ruler. I'm sorry, I'm figuring this out on camera. I think I'll do like a 4-inch, I think I'll do it 4.5 inches so I can have a 1/2 inch gusset and a 4-inch pocket depth. So I'm going to cut this at 4.5. Okay. So that's for my big pocket on the inside of the front cover. I think I will go ahead and do gusseted pockets on the adjacent page too. I'm just going to make them a little narrower or shallower because I'm going to do two pockets. So I've got my 6 inches this way. I think if I do 2.5 inches, that will give me, and maybe I'll do 3, and that'll give me a 1/2 inch gusset and a 2.5 inch deep pocket. This will all make sense once I start kind of scoring these and putting them together. All right, so these 3 pieces are going to be my pockets. I can put my trimmer away, and I'm going to grab out my scoreboard now. I find that when you have thicker materials you're working with and you need to put a crease in it, it's much easier to use a scoreboard. So I'm going to take my largest pocket, and I'm going to score a 1/2 inch on each side of this 6 inches. I'm actually going to go over that a few times because this is pretty sturdy material, this file folder. I found a whole stack of these at a thrift store recently. And then I'm going to put a 1/2 inch score line at the bottom as well. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with these two. Alright, so before I do my folding, I'm going to cut out these two corners like this on all of these pockets, and I'm also going to cut a little triangle out from the top edge from that score line, just out like that. Alright, I'm going to fold all of these in and burnish them real good with my bone folder. And I'm also going to put in a little notch in the top of each pocket with this handy dandy little punch I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It gives that really nice kind of a envelope corner thingy there. I don't know what to call that, but it came with a little mini, kind of a little mini scoreboard, and it has the notch punch, and it also has a corner punch on that other side, so that's pretty handy. So this is what my pockets are going to look like, and we're going to decorate them with the washi tape once I get them all folded and ready and punched and ready to decorate and put in our little planner book. While I had my camera paused, I went ahead and I glued the corners down, but I also inked around the edges of each one of these 3 pockets with my vintage photo. But I had to clip these corners because this cardboard or cardstock is so heavy. It was either that or stand there and hold them till they dried, which I didn't want to do. This should be dry by now. But I wanted to show you this before we start decorating and putting these into our little planner. And you probably already know this, but every once in a while I just think of something that I want to tell people just in case they don't know. And that is, when you make these gusseted pockets, you want to be sure that your bottom gusset is on top of your side ones. And the reason for that is so this corner isn't on the inside, which can catch things that you try to insert in and out of the pocket. So just thought I'd add that little tidbit. I'm going to leave those to the side now. And I also picked out washi tapes to decorate these pockets with. So I have 3 rolls of this really wide washi tape. I think it's 3.5 inches wide, and this is the one that I picked out. And I also picked out a skinny one to kind of contrast with it to decorate the front of this pocket with. Now, the other 2 pockets are too narrow for this wide washi tape, so I picked out 2 of the next sizes and a skinny one also to contrast with each one of those. So I'm going to do this big one first, though, and my thinking was, luckily the pattern of this is going the right direction to just put to the front of this pocket. And there's actually a quote on here from R.M. Nixon. I don't know, is that Richard Nixon, the former president? But it says, "Our destiny offers not the cup of despair, but the chalice of opportunity. So let us seize it, not in fear, but in gladness." I thought that was pretty neat to have on a pocket. So I'm just going to take this and Might be easier to, I'm just going to eyeball it like I did everything else and just try and put it on here kind of straight. I want to get that quote on there. And I'm just going to get it on there as straight as I can. Oops. There we go. Okay. Grab my bigger scissors here. So I am going to leave a little edge to kind of wrap around to the back, and it'll, when we glue these in, that'll help hold it in place, because it'll be on the back of the gusset like that. And then we'll glue the whole thing in, and that'll hold it in place. I do need to trim this one down a little. I don't want it to go over the edge of the gusset, because that would cause problems later. So there's that. I mean, that alone is pretty, but I thought I would use some of these really skinny ones as just kind of a little, I could use it as a border, or I could even go this direction with it, which is what I'm thinking about doing right here. We've kind of got a natural line in our design, so I was thinking, if I can find the edge of this, just place this, and I'm going to go all the way to the edges and probably overlap this as well, just to add a little bit more interest and contrast to this pocket. So that'll go over the edge like that, and this will go over the edge. And I'm going to grab my glue just to make sure that doesn't peel up, and put a little dab of it along here. Okay, that won't show because our pocket's going to be down like that. So, I mean, so simple, but doesn't that look nice? Okay, let's do one of our shallow ones. Same, and I'm going to use the same kind of concept with, up there. I'm done with those. With a wider one and a skinny one. This one, this might be my favorite washi tape in this whole set. I mean, look how gorgeous that is. Butterflies, of course. I mean, hello, butterflies. But it's got script in the background. It's got like ledger lines in the background. It's got that wonderful kind of muted sagey green color. It's just, you know, numbers, and I love this. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of try and center this between the notch, the bottom of the notch and the bottom of the pocket. Actually, I'm going to bring it over a little so I can get that the whole of that nice blue butterfly on there. Okay. Fold that over. Trim that off and fold it over. And now with this one, I was kind of thinking about just putting it, like underlining it, just putting it underneath this. And fold those edges over. Okay, there's that one. And then this pocket, I chose these two washies. This is another one of those kind of gold foiled, it's a botanical flower one. And then this is a very dark black with a very faint kind of tan colored viney pattern going through it. And I just thought that would be a nice contrast for this lighter washi tape. So let me do this one. I'm going to center it between the notch and the bottom. then on this one, I think I'll do something like this. I'll put it over the top of this, but I'm going to leave a very narrow edge kind of border of the other ones still showing. Like, ooh, that went quick. Ooh, that is not sticking very well at all. I might have to add glue to this. And I was also thinking I could do something like that. I don't know. Maybe all the way to the edge like that would look good. Yeah, let's do that. And so I'm going to put it there. And tear that off. Okay. So I guess it's going to be okay since these are going to be wrapped around the edges and then glued down to the journal or to the planner. I don't need to worry about gluing down the fronts because that's going to hold it secure when we glue these pockets into the journal. Although I do want to put a little dab of glue on this just to hold it in place on the inside of this pocket. That might be too big of a dab. Okay, I got glue and washi tape pieces stuck all over me. All right. Oh, that one doesn't want to stay down. I'm just going to go ahead and dab a little glue there just to hold that in place. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, we got our 3 pockets made, and now let's put them into the planner. So the big pocket was going to go on this inside of the front cover, and then these 2 are going to be like this. So you can still put tall items in one, but obviously for this one, it's going to have to be, you know, shorter items will go in there. But I'm going to use my art glitter glue again for this. And I'm just going to put glue all over the back of these gussets and glue these down. I grabbed a few clips. I'm just going to put those kind of on these corners. Of course, I don't have any clips that'll reach to that corner, but it's just to make sure these stay down good and give them some time to dry. And this edge, I'm just going to keep putting pressure on that corner. Let me grab one more for there, and one more for there. Okay. All right, so I have all 3 of those pockets glued down, and as you can see, I've got quite a few clips. I'm going to set this aside for a little bit and just let those clips do their work and make sure these are glued down really, really good because, like I said, this is a heavy, heavy cardstock, and I just want to make sure they're stuck down good before I start messing anymore with this book. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to do one more little project using the washi tape for this planner. Okay, the last little project we're going to do for this planner is make some paper clips, and I want to make 4 of them. So I'm going to grab 4 of these very large paper clips. I got these at Daiso. I don't know if you've heard of that store. We just got one in a town nearby where I live recently, and it's kind of like a Japanese Dollar Tree type store. And I found these paper clips that are really, really nicely sized, and they're really sturdy too, and they've got like serrations in the metal. I don't know if you can see that. or notches so they grip a little bit better, I think. They're not as slippery. But I'm going to use these paper clips, and I'm going to make 4 of them, 1 for each quarter of the year. Start with this piece, okay? So this is 2 inches wide. I want to cut it down to about 1 3/4. And what I'm going to do with this, set that back over there, is fold it in half. I hope I'm staying in frame here. I'm actually sitting down now, so I can't see my phone to see if I'm in frame. Okay, so I'm going to fold that in half and just crease it with my thumbs. Where's my bone folder? This is pretty thick cardstock. It's some of that same marble cardstock I used on the front cover. And then I'm going to slip it onto my paper clip, and one thing you have to keep in mind when you're making this type of a paper clip for your journals or whatever is which side of the page you're going to put it on. So these are obviously all going to be on the right side, since that's where the opening of this book is. So I have to hold it this direction with the opening of the paper clip facing to the left, okay? So I'm going to slip this in, just this bottom part of this paper clip, like this, okay? So it's kind of hanging there like a little banner, but you can see the back of it is still going to be able to slide onto a page, okay? And then what I'm going to do is, let me put these other things aside for a minute. These are the remaining washi tapes I have left in this set that I haven't used yet. And I'm going to pick out a few to use to decorate this part of the paper clip that's dangling. This is a nice one that has some kind of wildflower looking images on it. Here's one that's a little bit like a music staff, but one of those real skinny ones. And let me see, this one's just kind of a simple brown wiggly line pattern. So let me start with those 3. And all I'm going to do first, let me get my glue, is glue these 2 banners together, or the inside of this. I just want to glue these together, and I don't have to put glue all the way to the edge because I'm going to be wrapping this whole thing with the washi tape. So I just kind of want to hold it closed. And I'm going to start with this skinny music one. So I'm just going to place it on there. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. About like that, okay? Now we don't have to cut these off. I'm just going to wrap them around. So I'm going to go back to the back side and just wrap that and bring this all the way around as well. And I'm going to have to use a little glue because I lost some stickiness in that little piece for some reason. And then I'm going to bring this all the way to that edge, and then just, so it kind of wraps all the way around. And I might have to put a little glue there, I don't know, maybe not. And so there's our first line of washi tape. Now I think I'll take this one and go on to my next one. I need to turn it sideways a little bit so I can see where the edge is. And I'm just gonna line it up with the edge of the previous washi tape. And do the same thing, kind of wrap it around. And bring this up and around as well. And tear it off. You can trim it. Sometimes it's hard to tear off just a tiny little piece. So I'm just going to trim that. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this edge here just to hold it down. Okay. And then I'm going to take my next washi tape, which is this one, and I can see that I'm going to need one more. My goal is to use, you know, all different washi tapes on each of these little paper clips that I'm going to make. Put that down, and I'm just eyeballing it, lining it up with the bottom of the previous washi. Wrap it around, bring this up and around. And there we go. Okay, let me find one more for the very bottom of this. No, how about this green one? Yeah, I think I'm going to use this one. I don't think it's going to make it. I'm going to have to use another one of the super skinny ones to finish this one off with. But I'll speed this up a little bit so we can get through this project. Okay, so I still have a little bit of a border of the cardstock down here, but that's not going to hurt anything, so I'm just going to leave it. And I don't have any of the washi tape that's that skinny, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And I actually used 5 different washi tapes for that one paper clip, so I'm going to set those aside. My goal is to try and use up as many of the washis as I can from this set in this project. So for the next part, and I'm just going to finish this one paper clip, and then I'll do the other 3 off camera to save time. But what I want to do next is, since I'm doing one for each quarter, the first quarter of the year is going to be January, February, March. And I have this stamp set, and I don't remember where I got this. It was either Amazon or Temu, I'll tell you that, but I'm going to use January, February, and March, and I'm going to stamp that using some black archival ink onto, just this is a piece of some tea-dyed paper I had. So I'm going to put January, and if it's not perfectly straight, you know what, that's okay. And then February, right under that, and March. I am going to try and get them, you know, as straight as I can. I'm not going to intentionally do them crooked, but if they turn out a little crooked, it's just not going to bother me. I'll just tell you that. So I'm using my archival ink in jet black. I'm just going to ink those up pretty good. And stamp. I decided while I had all my stamping stuff out to just go ahead and stamp all my months for all 4 quarters. But what I'm going to do with each one of these is kind of rough tear them out by hand all around all 4 edges. And then I'm going to grab my vintage photo ink again and ink that up. Almost tore into February a little bit, but you can still read it. Ink those up. And then I'm going to glue that onto the paper clip. I grabbed the journal and I still got my clips on there. So basically, for every quarter, Now you can grab more than one page, or you can just put this on the first page, but it's going to go on your page like this, just to mark that quarter. So the first 3 sections, I'll put a paper clip marking them January, February, and March. And then with my other paper clips, I'll mark the other 3 quarters. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making up all 4 of my paper clips. Okay, so I finished all those paper clips, and I'll just flip through and show them to you real quick. So the first one you saw already, and I went ahead and put the first 5 pages, or the first section, in each paper clip, just so they would have something a little bit more to hold on to. But I kind of staggered them down the edges like this, just so it'd be easier, you know, as whoever's using this, you know, if they need to get to, say, August, they can easily flip to that section by looking at the paper clip on the side. But that was the January, February, March. And then I have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And my pockets are in, and my front looks lovely, so I believe we are finished. So I used all of the washi tapes in this box of 37 except for these 2 wide ones. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, finding uses for these really wide ones, but oh, I will. Believe me, I will. So I used 35 out of the 37 washi tapes in altering and decorating this planner. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this little project using the washi tape and the blank journal that I got from IB. Once again, I will link below their website and give you my discount code for 30% off if you're interested. And I had a great time on this project, so I think I'm probably going to end up saving this planner to use in 2027, because I have already started one for this year, so I don't want to start, you know, a second one. So I will probably set this aside in my stash and save it for my own personal use in 2027. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a blessed day.